Hey, welcome inside the Fox Weather ROWI Report. I'm Steve Bender. We got a special edition of the pod coming your way today because not only are we locking in on the matchups over the weekend that are going to be impacted by the weather, of course, but I got a special edition. I got a game that is in the northernmost football field in all of America. Do you know where I'm talking about? If not, stick around for the end of the pod because we are going to talk about that game. And it's a good one. And I got so many good nuggets on that game that is weather-oriented. And that's what it's all about, by the way, on the ROWI Report. We translate the weather impacts to the games. What does it mean for the players and the teams? What does it mean for the coaches and their schemes? Or if you're betting on the game, or if you have fantasy football, how does that give you the extra edge? That's what we're locking in on. I want to take you into Wisconsin. That's where we're going to go first for our games. And we're going to be going up into Camp Randall Stadium. That's in Madison, Wisconsin, home of the Badgers. You got the Maryland Terrapins. They're coming into town. Here's what you need to know. Wisconsin is all about the ground and pound. Establish the run. Milk the clock. The possession control, right? That is what they want, and that's what they thrive off of. What we're looking at here is some of that rain that could be moving in. Now, notice what we're picking up on the exclusive Fox Weather model is that most of the storms are actually going to be to the east, and the most volatile storms are to the east. Kickoff is at 4 p.m. I stopped it here on purpose because in Milwaukee, they got some thunderstorms. If this game was playing in Milwaukee and this forecast was true, you likely start with a delay because of those thunderstorms. But we're in Camp Randall, we're in Madison, we are miles and miles away. And so I think we're going to be kicking off just fine. But I think there's a moment in the second and third quarter where you could see some of these storms. You see that bright yellow? That's talking more of an intensity of that rain rate, also a little bit more instability. Those are the storms that could pack lightning. What does lightning do? If you've been locked in on the pod, you know that's the time that they delay the game. So here's what we got in this lineup overall. When we're looking at it, a medium risk of weather impact, we are just about 24 hours away from this game. So precipitation impact, that is starting to pick up, right? Wind impact, relatively kind of low, but you could see that wind start to pick up if you're talking about thunderstorms or unstable showers that are kind of moving through close proximity to Camp Randall. Temperature impact, not much of a factor. So overall, when you're looking at this game, actually this is a noon kickoff, you're looking at from set go all the way through 3 p.m., the potential of those storms setting up. Now, again, lightning would create some delays. We've talked about this. Lightning actually, with those delays, favors the home teams. They feel a little more comfortable in their locker room, and they can get back into a rhythm. I think for Maryland, they got more of an explosive offense. I don't know. I don't think this favors them, even though they're, to me, the underdog in this. You would think, okay, maybe some instability, maybe a break in the rhythm. Even if it turns into a turnover battle, I think Wisconsin's built for this. For me, I'm feeling confident in Wisconsin moving ahead. Let's take you now into an in-state rivalry that's going to be going down in Indiana. You got the Boilermakers coming down to South Bend, or I should go and say going up to South Bend for Notre Dame. At their stadium there, Notre Dame somehow is still ranked. How? Like, what? Number 24 in the country and you've lost 2 games? But that's here nor there. All right, we're looking at what is going to happen because remember, we had the same rain that was impacting Wisconsin. That same system is going to be moving through northern Indiana. Why the precipitation impact is high. Wind impact relatively low. Temperature impact relatively low. You take the average of that. Medium risk of weather impact. One thing to note though, rain impacts everybody that's on the field. The just going in and out of your cuts. That is going to be a little more difficult with your footing, whether you're a receiver, whether you're a running back, you're a quarterback, you're a linebacker, any of that, right? Even for the simple handoff, that becomes a factor. Now, these guys are good, but at the college level, there's a little more influence on that when you're talking about disrupting that cadence with a little bit of rain. What we do see out of this game, though, is more of a end-of-game impact. So if this is close, and you're talking about the Boilermakers that are hanging around, making it competitive, I think this thunderstorm opportunity makes it even more interesting. If Notre Dame is blowing them out at this point, I don't even think this lightning is going to make much of a difference, right? But remember, lightning could create a delay at the end of the game. That could give a lot of guys a break and a chance to reset. Also, just rain in and of itself could make things sloppy to end the game. It could be exciting there at Notre Dame Stadium. Let's take you down now to my alma mater. A lot of noise this week, by the way, and it wasn't because of the weather, but because of Coach Belichick not knowing our team was actually University of Central Florida, and he just called this Central. So I think even though Central Florida is trying to stay undefeated, they're one of 39 teams in college football. I think they're a little pissed off right now. They want to prove something as they take on the Tar Heels. They are actually going to be starting Tavian Jackson. That's a new quarterback at the helm for the Knights. Scott Frost came out with that. Why is that important? Because look, if you get rain, and this is the kind of summertime flow. I know we're in the fall. Feels like summer though. Look at the air temperature in the upper 80s at kickoff. Most likely feels like mid to upper 90s when you incorporate the dew points. It feels like summer. The weather's going to act like summer. That means in the afternoon, you have the potential for these thunderstorms, and they can be the type of thunderstorm that drops 2 to 3 inches of rain. These are explosive, a little bit different than what the first two games we talked about. Those ones up there, those thunderstorms, yes, they are still creating lightning, but not nearly intense with the tropical downpour that you would get in Florida. The bounce house, though, I think is going to be rocking, and I think it's going to be rocking because the UCF Knights are going to be handling business. Now, I'm biased in all of this because I went there, but I'm just talking about looking at this forecast. I still think this would even favor the Knights because if there's a delay, which they had at the beginning of their season with Jack State, that gives them that comfortability being at home. I think even if it doesn't rain, look how warm it is. I think that favors a Florida team still when you're talking about early in the season. All right, we got another Florida matchup here. This is a big in-state game and a must-watch and a must-handle business if you are Miami, because what you want right now is to establish that you should be into the college football playoffs at the end of the season. And everything you've done so far has proven that. You got 2 Heisman candidates already on your roster with your quarterback and your running back. But here's the thing. When you're an in-state rivalry, things get volatile quickly. And so you have to handle business, and it doesn't look like weather is going to be a factor. Again, we have a low risk of weather impact, but here's what I'll tell you with this. As of right now, it looks like things are going to be clear for this game. This is an evening kickoff at Hard Rock, which gives you a little less of the instability that you would have during the daytime, the heart of the afternoon. But I would say there are some, changes that happen in Florida quickly during this type of dynamic setup when you're talking about thunderstorms. So even though we're not seeing anything right now in South Florida, I'll tell you this, Miami has already seen 14 inches of rain in the month of September, over a foot. So they are a spot that's a magnet for storms. Why I'm telling you all this, we got the Fox Weather app. I encourage you. It's free on your phone. You can track it out. You can track out storms. So if you're watching this game and you're a fan, or you're betting on this game and you want that last minute adjustment, I would encourage you 2-3 hours before kickoff or right before kickoff, of course, check the radar to see if there'll be any influence. But I'm telling you right now, I would be locking in on the Hurricanes. They have looked impressive. They have looked so good that, how can you bet against them? How can you even root against them right now? By the way, I grew up in South Florida. I was actually an FSU fan. I'm excited for that matchup later in the season. My heart's trying to tell me go for the Florida Gators, but I'm actually just impressed how good UM is. So I think this game right here, rain or shine, is going to be dominant. Now, I promise you at the beginning of the episode, I have a bonus for you. And I want to see if you even know where we're going to head to next. We are going to the northernmost football field in all of America, all of the United States. It is, honestly, maybe this is the furthest away stadium from where we're just talking about. I think Hard Rock is as far away as you can get from where we're going to be talking about next. I'm going to give you a picture to kind of set the tone. Do you know where we're talking about yet? They're the Whalers, right? This is high school football. I will tell you that. And we are going all the way up into Alaska. We're going to Upviek, Alaska. And I want to show you what this looks like, right? We got drone footage. Now, imagine this. You have high schoolers that are playing on this turf field that is blue right now, and they're surrounded by water that oftentimes could be frozen, snow for most of the year. And get this, by the way, they didn't even have a turf field until 2007. So you may be asking, Steve, what do they play on? Did you see what was surrounding the turf? It was dirt and gravel. That's what high school football players were playing on before 2007. This is incredible. I'll give you another vantage point of what is going to be going down, and it's actually going to be tonight on Friday night. This is what it's like to practice there near the Arctic Circle. Here's the risk of weather impact when you look at the Homer Mariners. They're going to be taking on the Barrow Whalers, all right? This is incredible because really the impact is going to be the temperature. Remember, every game that we've talked about for the most part has been rain. And with the rain, maybe you'll get a gust of wind at times. Temperature hasn't been a factor. This is going to be so cold because you're at the most northern point of Alaska at this, when you're looking at this field. This is going to be a 4 p.m. kickoff on Saturday, I should say, for high school football. Notice this, air temperatures into the lower 30s, but the wind, notice the directional arrow is actually out of the northwest, setting up over the Arctic Sea. It is going to be bringing cold air that their actual feels-like temperature is going to be in the lower 20s, if not into the upper teens, throughout this entire game. And guess what? I was doing a little more research into this, and for the Barrow Whalers, where they're playing in Ufiak, right, they're taking on Homer. Homer is on the southern side of Alaska. For high school football, they are taking a 7-hour flight in order to play. Why they're playing on a Saturday. How cool is that? If you play football, even at a high school level, how far did you ever travel, right? For me, I think it was about 2 to 3 hours was the furthest I ever took a bus ride. I never got on a plane in order to take on my rivals on the other side of the state being Alaska. But this got me thinking, right? Because I want to take you back to what it looks like at their stadium here. I think this might have to be the greatest home field advantage out of anywhere, any level, whether it's high school, whether it's college or professional. But I want to hear from you. What is the coolest or most unique place that you have ever visited for football? Whether it's you visited or you played. For me, I'll give you mine. Mine was in Death Valley, LSU. They were taking on Alabama when they had Leonard Fournette. I was able to get down there. I thought it was chaotic. I thought it was amazing. And really, once you step into there, it felt like you were on a different planet. The noise, the chaos. I want to hear from you. What was the most memorable game that you have ever been to for football? Drop them in the comments below. By the way, did you love this Fox Weather ROWI report? Like and subscribe it. By the way, you can reach out to us on social media at Fox Weather, or for me at Weather Bender. We'll listen to the comments, and if you have anything that you want us to talk about, whether there's some high school games or college games, of course, or football games, or different dynamics. Maybe you're saying, hey, I understand how this weather may impact this type of game. By the way, there could be some frost on this game that you're watching right now. That would be incredible to talk about. If there's something that you want us to dive deeper into, we can answer that as well as you reach out. But we air episodes every Tuesday and Wednesdays, and we do bonus episodes like this when it is warranted because there's a weather factor. So make sure you're always tuning in to the Fox Weather Report. Until then, I'll see you at next kickoff.